To those of you who doesn't know me just yet, I worked in the BPO industry as a call center agent, handling a telecommunications account under billing department. And when I saw this comment from my previous video about probing questions, I immediately say yes to his request. So shout out to you, Sir Abdul Hamid Mashid. I hope I will be able to give you some of the probing questions that you should ask your customer when dealing with him or her. So I missed going back to the old days where I am asking questions to the customer to ask further questions or to dig deeper about his or her concerns. So if you are also on the same page as Mr. Abdul, make sure to watch the video until the end because this will definitely help you ace your every call center interaction. Let's begin. All right, so let's talk about top 10 probing questions for billing related concerns. So this is dedicated for all billing agents out there. So let's start with probing question number 1. Can you describe the specific billing issue you are experiencing? Normally, the customer would call in and say, hey, I have questions about my bill. Hey, I have concerns about my bill. So the best way to respond or to ask probing question is to say, can you describe the specific billing issue you are experiencing? So if the statement of the customer is kind of vague, you don't know what exactly he or she is referring to, then this is the best probing question to ask. Okay? Now, question or probing question number 2 is, when did you first notice the discrepancy in your bill? So normally, the reason why the customer would call us is because of a billing discrepancy. For example, the bill was too low last month. Like, for example, the customer only paid $50 for his internet bill, and then this month he paid $100. So the reason why customers would call us is because of that kind of discrepancy. Why is my bill too high? Or why is my bill different from my last month's bill, and etc. So the best way to answer that question, or the best way for you to say, to dig deeper, is to say, when did you first notice the discrepancy in your bill? So if the customer will say, oh, that has been happening since last year, or that has been happening since last month or 3 months ago, things like that. So what you would have to do next is, of course, you need to look back into the previous billing statements that was released to clarify or to make sure if what the customer is saying is correct based on your record. Okay. Now, probing question number 3 is, do you remember making some changes on your account prior to having this billing issue? Now, normally, this is the best question to ask if the customer received higher bill and he would like to know what's the reason behind it. So normally, if the customer called last month, for example, to upgrade his or her internet, or for example to add cable service on top of his existing internet service, then there will be prorated charges on the account that will make the bill normally typically higher than what was the previous bill was, or what was the quoted amount during the time of the transaction. So this has to be explained very carefully to the customer, because most of the time they would be upset if you wouldn't be able to explain this very well. So if they remember making some changes on your account, the next question to ask is, do you remember when was that change happened? So you can look back into the billing statement, see the history, and then explain from there. All right. So the next probing question to ask is, do you have your billing statement with you? Yes, this is something that I typically ask my customer, especially if the customer called in without having anything with him or her. So you need to ask, do you have your billing statement with you? Because the customer might just say, random amounts without having anything to prove what he or she is saying. So you need to make sure that he or she has his billing account with him, so you can walk him through, you can guide him, and so you will be on the same page. So whatever it is that you'd like to explain to the customer, he or she can visibly see it because he's holding the billing statement. Okay. All right. Now, probing question number 5 is, can you confirm the payment method you've used when you made the payment? Normally, this is the best question to ask if ever the payment that was made got delayed, or the payment is not yet posted on the account. You need to clarify what payment method did he or she use. Normally, there will be a stored payment method on file, so it should be the one to be used, but some customers would use a different debit, credit, or checking account. So you need to clarify that to the customer, okay? All right, now next probing question to ask is, do you still remember when was the last time you made a payment on your account? So this is something that I ask my customer whenever I see that there has been past due balances on the account. For example, the customer didn't pay the bill in the last 2 months. So the best way for you to know what's happening is to ask this question. Do you still remember when was the last time you made a payment? So this will trigger the customer to think back and look back into what happened. Okay, so the last payment that I made was, for example, back in August. So that means it is right that the bill is, like, for example, 2 months past due because he paid the bill 2 months ago. So it will prevent the customer from saying not so nice words after realizing that the mistake happened because of him being forgetful. So that's something, or that sometimes happen. But there are also cases where the customer made a payment early, just so happens that he used a different way of paying the bill. For example, instead of paying a debit or credit card, he sent us a check instead. So remember that when we send check payments, it typically is being processed normally within 9 to 10 business days. So it really would take some time for us to receive the payment. So if that is the case, then you need to provide a different resolution to the customer. Okay. Now, probing question number 7. I hope you're still with me. Comment below. I'm still with you if you're still with me. Thank you. So, would that be fine if you tell me how much would you be able to pay today? So, this is a question I typically ask my customer whenever the customer would ask for payment extension, payment arrangement. So, the customer typically would say, I don't have that much money today. I only have $100 in my pocket. Would that be enough? So the best question to ask you is, would that be fine if you tell me how much would you be able to pay today? So for example, if they have $100, then you can process the payment and then they can just pay the remaining balance on some other days to avoid internet um loss, for example, right? Or any other resolution that you can provide to the customer. There's no, you would ask me, oh, that is a question that is too bold to ask. But if you would deliver it in a nice way, then the customer would feel that you care for him because you are asking how much is it that he can afford to pay right now, okay? Without you telling the customer, you need to pay this amount. You need to really pay this amount. Otherwise, your internet service will be disconnected, for example. So that would just trigger, him for to not make a payment and do something else. Okay. Okay, so probing question number 8 is, I understand that you'd like to see if we can extend your payment. Could you please tell me when is the earliest time you can pay your bill? In the account that I was handling before, there is a thing called payment arrangement wherein we can extend the customer's payment for at least 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I believe. And so it is best for us to ask the customer if he can make a payment before the time that the payment arrangement is over. For example, yeah, I can make a payment next week, or my salary will be available next week. I can definitely make a payment, which means that he or she could be qualified in this kind of payment arrangement. So that's the best way for you to know that the customer is really someone who can make the payment for the bill, because normally, for example, the payment arrangement is available, yes, but the salary or the money is not going to be available until next month. For example, oh, my payment is going to happen next month, yet what you have available in your end is only 3 weeks. So that is the time when you need to let the customer understand that this is what you have available, and etc. Okay. Now, probing question number 9, would you like me to remove your auto pay, or would you like me to remove you from auto pay to avoid issues like this? Auto pay is also what we call automatic payments. It is when a customer put in a debit, a credit, or a checking account in their profile that we will be using, or the company will be using when deducting monthly payments. So normally, auto pay can happen without the customer expecting it. For example, if $100 came out of his account without his consent, without him realizing that he has an auto pay. So normally the customer would call in and say, hey, you took this amount of money from my account without my permission. Please return it back to my account. I badly need that money. So this is the best way to address that kind of issue. Make sure to check on them. Tell them that, "Oh, I can see here that you have an auto pay. Would you like me to remove you from auto pay to avoid this issue from happening in the future?" And you just have to make your payment once the bill is due. And normally that is what they would like to do. Typically, though, there will be rewards if you would turn on your auto pay. That is for the company that I work for. They will be getting at least $10 monthly discount from their bill if they turn off auto pay and paperless billing. So, yeah, just discuss that with them as well. And last but not the least, number 10. I can see here that you're paying $100 for your internet bill. I don't want you to keep paying this much. Would you be interested for me to discuss other ways to lower your bill down? So we were in billing department before, but we are also allowed to do upselling. So this is where I got commission, or we get incentives on a monthly basis. So if you are the type of agent who also does this, and for example, you see that the customer is paying $100 and you'd like to lower the bill down, this is a good probing question to ask the customer. And then if the customer would say yes to that, then this could potentially be a way for you to generate a sale. So, kasi they would be intrigued. Oh, so there's a way for me to lower my bill down. That would be the catch to them. So make sure to always do this with helping a customer.
And that's everything. I hope that I was able to help you gain some ideas on what probing questions to ask your customer. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you have video suggestions just like this one, make sure to leave that down in the comment section as well, because I promise to create that video in the future. I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye.